It's been a while, but we're ready to go ahead and continue on with our Michael Jackson reviews. This one is for Blood on the Dance Floor. Hey everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. And we do, at times, do reviews for other people besides Prince. And today, we're gonna go ahead and do one for Michael Jackson's Blood on the Dance Floor, History in the Mix. This album contains 13 songs, but only 5 of them are new songs. The other 8 are remixes of songs from the previous album, History. To me, it always felt like Michael was kind of taking the idea of the maxi single that we've seen so much from Prince and kind of putting his own spin on it. Some new songs, some remixes. I appreciated this approach because, you know, I do dig maxi singles. And I want to say straight up, like, I like the 5 songs. That's pretty easy to say, and we'll talk about the ins and outs of that. But the 8 remixes, going into this album, I really only remember 2 of them being good. That would be the Refugee Camp remix of Too Bad and the This Time Around DM Radio edit. I'm kind of interested coming into this review and really trying to like give these another listen if my ear maybe hears something good in some of the other ones. But I remember I would listen to the 5 new tracks, I'd listen to these 2 remixes, and then I would be done. As for the 5 new songs, they're an interesting extension of kind of the aggressive nature from History. This remix album wasn't widely promoted, but 2 of the songs, Ghosts and Is It Scary, were featured in a like 25-30 minute music video short film called Ghosts. I don't know if I'm going to do a separate review of Ghosts, but it was an interesting watch that seemed like it was possibly longer than it needed to be. As far as reviews for this album when it came out, very few outlets had like glowing reviews. Most were like middle to low in terms of their ratings, which was also kind of a mixture of backlash due to a lot of the lawsuits and everything kind of going on with MJ at the time, and also others kind of saying like it was not as good a quality as his previous releases, so it was more of a cash grab. I, of course, was personally very happy to get more material. Prince spoiled me on that sort of thing, so I'm like, oh, it's another release so close. Sounds great, that's exactly what I like. You know why? Because it's more Michael Jackson. Blood on the Dance Floor ended up hitting number 1 in the UK, France and Belgium, and number 2 in a bunch of others. It only hit number 24 here in the US. And I think that anyone else would have been like ecstatic for 24, but I think in terms of MJ, that's not necessarily that great of a number. I'd be happy with a 24. But let's go ahead and get into the tracks. I kind of want to give you my breakdown on each of the songs. So for me, I think Blood on the Dance Floor probably has the most MJ sounding beat of like almost any Michael Jackson song. It's got that pop funk feel and his vocals are good. I don't think that I can say great though, because I feel like the vocals on here kind of lack that certain energy that I listen for when I'm listening to Michael, but it does liven up during the choruses. It was released as a single and peaked at number 42 on the US Billboard charts. And what I found was kind of interesting was that Blood on the Dance Floor was supposed to be on Dangerous, but it was cut for that, and even though it might have ended up on History, it was also cut off of History. It actually makes sense for it to not end up on Dangerous, because if you listen to this one and you listen to Dangerous, the 2 songs are actually pretty close in both feel and execution, but also the content. The song is about being lured onto the dance floor by somebody who then tries to shiv ya. That's, of course, if you take it literally. For me, it felt like the dance was a little bit more about a relationship, and this song is more like the song of a jilted lover, you know, than of like a possible murder victim. Weird thing is that I was super excited when I heard that there was going to be a video for this, and I remember sitting down and watching the video, and I was like, it's called Blood on the Dance Floor. That means MJ's going to be tearing this thing up. And he has a couple of points in the video where he does some of like his kind of routines that we're all pretty, you know, aware of. But most of the video is him sitting in a chair singing into the camera. And I remember that it was just very lackluster. It felt kind of lazy, but I think it also kind of lends to the feel, I think, of this song in general, is that it felt like, you know, MJ was feeling a little tired on this song. I hate to say that, but it just kind of felt a little bit worn out. But it is a good song. I just would not say that it was a great song. Now, Morphine, on the other hand, that is by far one of my very favorite songs off of Blood on the Dance Floor, and fast became one of my very favorite MJ songs in general across his entire career. Like, the beat is crazy good, MJ's vocals are like, they're powerful when they need to be powerful, and then they're soft when they need to be soft. And I feel like the lyrics evoke exactly what they're supposed to. It's a song of MJ kind of facing his ongoing addiction to pain meds. And it's interesting because the song itself is like really hard, and it's like, and I feel like that's actually like, that's him on the drug. He feels like amped, he feels hard. The breakdown of the song, though, kind of goes into like this soft piano where he is kind of singing about like his struggles. And he's like, he doesn't want to take more, but he feels like he needs to take more. And then he does. And then it launches back into the hard stuff. I just really, really love this song. And I feel like Morphine is like worth the price of the whole thing. You know, back in the day you had to buy the whole thing to get the thing. Now, just go download the one song, but if you could only get this song by buying the album, I would have bought the album again. Now, this one I can say is not really my favorite. I think this one's probably the weakest of the 5 new tracks. Superfly Sister is an okay song. It's about the decline of like love between people, and it's more about the youth as being obsessed with sex and, you know, all that stuff. I really like the bass in this song. But I also kind of just feel like it's a song. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what I'm missing about this song, because I don't know, it just never really did it for me. I think it would have made a good B-side, maybe, which is, I guess, what this entire album is, but still. Now we get to the 2 scary songs. I know scary is subjective, and this is the faster, more dancier one, which is good. I actually like them both, but I think I dig this one a little bit better. He has attitude in his voice, and the chorus is, I think it's well executed. One of my favorite lines in the chorus is, "And who gave you the right to shake my family tree?" I just love that. And honestly, the way that the song is kind of structured, it feels like Michael heard that like backing thing that, and I feel like he heard that and it was just like, ooh, I can base an entire song around that. Because it really is kind of the central piece to the whole song. And it's weird because that Michael Jackson short film that I was talking about, Ghosts, this song, even though it's the name of the song, it's featured so little in that video. Is that scared for your The interesting thing about this slower song, Is It Scary, it is more evocative, and it actually does kind of sound a little bit scarier. Michael actually borrows some of the lyrics from Ghosts in this song, but then they start to kind of take on a slightly darker tone in this one. Like in Ghost, it was like, is it scary? And you're like, sure. And then It's Scary, it's like, ooh, actually it is kind of. MJ's screaming in the chorus, I think, is actually really well done. I think it was probably like a perfect ending. If they had just released this as like a 5-track EP without the remixes, I think it would have done just as well. And I think it's a good ending for the 5 new tracks. Of course, we do now have to go over the remixes, which I kind of treat as like a completely separate thing. So the first remix is Scream Louder, the Flyte Tyme remix, which I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Bring in Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and they're going to turn this thing up and it's going to be awesome. For me, though, it seemed to kind of take away from the energy of the original track. The bass line is actually pretty dope, but the backing track just kind of stays the same the whole time, and I feel like it bogs down the strength of Scream. I mean, this is like MJ's signature angry song, and I guess it's kind of the thing that happens when you turn anything into a dance song. Not everything needs to be a dance song. The remix for Money kind of does the same thing as Scream Louder. The beat is different than the one on the album, but then sort of kind of takes over the whole song. If you listen to the original Money, there were pauses, there were crescendos. It had like personality, it had character. And this is kind of just an okay beat with MJ over it. Too bad, too bad. Now, Too Bad the Refugee Camp remix. This remix is the star of the remixes on this album, in my opinion. I already like Too Bad, so there's that. And then it takes the structure and it builds on top of that. It strips out the parts that don't necessarily fit with this new beat, and I think it really shows that the Refugee Camp knows how to remix a song and also really kind of put their stamp on it. John Forté, who has been on a bunch of Wyclef stuff, also adds a rap verse to it, which kind of blows Shaquille O'Neal's out of the water, so that also makes it a better version. I just shake my head at the remix of Stranger in Moscow. Like I said before, not every song needs to be a dance remix. Stranger in Moscow is a song about depression and desperation and, dare I say, like suicidal thoughts. So it's hard for me to condone shaking my booty to that. So I'm moving on. The beat is a little strong in the This Time Around remix, but I actually think this one works pretty well, especially as soon as the keyboards and the horns kind of come in. I feel like it makes it different than the version on the original album, which really wasn't my favorite at all. I think this one kind of adds a new dimension to it and helps me enjoy it just a little bit more. So it's not perfect, but I think it's a damn good showing for this collection of remixes. This one definitely stands out. So turning Earth Song, one of my very favorite songs and deeply personal songs on History, into a dance song. I was skeptical of whether they would be able to do it, but the beat is highly danceable. I honestly feel like the beat was actually so good that they could have just left MJ off of it and maybe just released it themselves and it could have been a hit, who knows? But it's not a bad remix. I think it works if you forget that the song is about humanity destroying the world. It's not a bad remix. There were, of course, a few parts on Earth Song where MJ was almost near tears kind of singing about these really sad topics, and it would throw it off the beat, this new dance beat, a couple here and there. But on the whole, it was pretty well executed. You Are Not Alone. I don't like the song. I really don't like the remix. I'm not a fan. I'm moving on. And now we get to the final track, History, which is Tony Moran's History Lesson remix. In my review of History, I had said that I didn't necessarily like it as much as a lot of the rest of the album because it felt like it was two different songs. You had the one part that was like really kind of and then you had the other part that was like, nah, you know, and it was like, I don't know. It felt like two different songs kind of smushed together and not in a good way. So going into this, I was kind of curious as to whether they could give it like one continuity and make me kind of enjoy the song a little bit more. With that in mind, I think that they were successful. It was a little bit high energy for me. I felt like the song started on a 9 and then went to a 10 and like it just kind of stayed there, and there's not really anywhere for it to go if you don't like have ups and downs. It was just like up here the whole time, but it was good. So in conclusion, this is a 13-track album. It's pretty darn good. I feel like it's worth it for the good tracks, and then you can just kind of skip the bad tracks. Morphine, I feel like everybody needs to hear that song. I feel like it was probably like the deepest and kind of like the most like rawest song. And packaged together with Ghosts and Is It Scary, I think it's a good package. And I do appreciate the new songs more than the remixed songs, but even a few of those are pretty darn good. So I don't know, like I would say 3.5 stars, maybe 3. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know about it down in the comments. What was your favorite song off of here? Do you own it? Do you like it? Let me know. I want to hear about it all, and let's continue the discussion. Otherwise, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you always know when Princess Friend puts out a new video. Also hit us up on social media. That's at PrincessFriendYT on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Otherwise, may you live to see the dawn. I love you all.